Paramahamsa Nityananda, a rare living incarnation, is named among the world's 100 most spiritually influential personalities today. Paramahamsa Nityananda has been placed alongside Dalai Lama, Nelson Mandela, Oprah Winfrey, Paulo Coelho and others by Mind, Body, Spirit, the world's top esoteric magazine from Watkins, London's oldest and largest bookstore. A yogi by birth, he has been expressing his power of enlightenment since birth. He has authored more than 500 books in Tamil and English. Translations of these books are available in 26 languages in Telugu, Kannada, Malayalam, Hindi, Sanskrit, Gujarati, Oriya, Bengali, Marathi, French, Malay, Polish, Portuguese, Italian, German, Danish, Spanish, Russian and Chinese. He is also an exemplary speaker with over 10,000 hours of profound life solutions through his discourses. Social services such as Annadan, free medical care, free educational services with ashrams, schools, temples, hospitals established in more than 140 places around the world, offering exceptional services. A powerful spiritual healer who has healed millions of people of diseases from migraine to cancer. A Kriya Yogi who has formulated Kriyas for physical health and mental well-being, benefiting thousands. A living master who offers practical solutions for our everyday problems. He is the founder and spiritual head of Nityananda Dhyanapitham, a spiritual powerhouse who has revived the sacred Vedic tradition by establishing Vedic temples in places like Los Angeles, San Jose, Seattle, Toronto, Ohio, Oklahoma, Phoenix, St. Louis, Malaysia, Brazil, Paris, Guadeloupe, Dallas, New York, New Jersey, Atlanta, Calgary, Vancouver, Singapore, and places in India like Bengaluru, Hyderabad, Tiruvannamalai. A spiritual guru for 10 million followers, an incarnation who transmits the highest spiritual energy through initiation, a contemporary yogi who has revived the Vedic science of yoga worldwide through thousands of yoga centers, an adept in Ashtamaha-siddhis, mystical yogic powers, who has effortlessly awakened the Kundalini of thousands and graced them with spiritual powers, a dynamic young guru who is an inspiration for thousands of youngsters, India's most watched spiritual guru online, a beacon of spiritual light who has triumphed over the forces of religious terrorism and political persecution. Paramahamsa Nityananda is an eternal Kalpataru, blessing the world with the boons of material abundance and spiritual enlightenment. He is the 293rd Pontiff of the world's most ancient Hindu organization, Madurai Adinam.
Nityanandaya Swagatam, Anandanubhavaswadam, Sarvaroga Nivarakam, Vande Papa Vinashaktam. Nityanandaya Swagatam, Nityamuktam Nirvikalpam, Dhyanaloka Pradipakam, Vande Shantamayam Bandham. Nityanandaya Swagatam, Ananda Gandha Sancharam, Sarvopadhi Vinirmuktam.
Siddha, master, is a person who doesn't have perishable identity because of it has eternal identity. Understand? His identity is made out of material which is imperishable. There is no perishable component in the identity he created for himself. There's a huge water body. breeze flows over the water body, small waves are happening, or some drawings or figures appear on the water. In that figure there is no perishable component. That figure, the source, cause, effect, everything is just water. When the breeze flows, again that same wave will happen. When the breeze stops, the wave will settle down into the water. Same way, whenever a strong devoted samyama is the breeze. Water is the pure consciousness. Whenever the strong devoted samyama from a disciple happens over the conscious water, Master's forms appear and blesses you, graces you, and again it relaxes back into the same water. There is no perishable component. Please understand. There is no perishable component in the system. Because there is no perishable component, it is eternal identity. Siddha is a being whose all 7 sariras does not have any perishable component. Means any engram is perishable component. When all the engrams have disappeared, that body has become such a pure liquid, it creates different shapes, shades, waves, visuals based on the breeze flowing over it. The lake has no interest to take some shape. The flow of the breeze decides the shape. Master is a being happening without any perishable component. He is just a beautiful rhythmic play. The pure non-perishable experience happening in the source. That is the reason any Siddha happened in the planet Earth is available forever for anybody to connect with or have the benefit of his presence and energy. Understand? Any Siddha, any master happened in the planet Earth is available eternally for anybody to relate or connect with, experience his presence, knowledge or initiation. The word mystic and word enlightened master, avatar, there is no much difference. It is just reference, different reference. Please understand. There is a big difference between difference and reference. Here, the word enlightened master, avatar, Bhagavan, mystic, God, Atma, Paramatma, all these, between all these words, there is no difference, but they are all different references. Mystic is the word usually used for creators. Please understand. person who uses energies which are beyond five senses and creates is a mystic. For example, materialization. If somebody uses the powers which is beyond the senses, beyond five senses, those energies, using that energies and creating something which is beyond five senses. For example, when I materialize a diamond or certain object, there is no normal human power is used. The powers known to the five senses are not used. The powers which is beyond five senses are used. Anybody who uses the powers beyond five senses and creates something is a mystic. Don't mistake. Person who creates is a mystic. A mystic constantly creates. Even in you, when the transformed you is created, you become a mystic. Mystic is a person who is constantly creating so many new things, continuously using the extraordinary powers. Actually, anybody who creates, contributes to society will be a mystic. Otherwise, you are a mistake. In society only there are two kinds of human beings. One who is a mystic, another one who is a mistake. Mystic is a person who goes on, creates, using mystical energy. Enlightened master is a person who constantly showers enlightenment on others. Avatar is a person who is direct descendants, directly appeared from superconsciousness, radiates all the sadgunas, all the auspicious qualities. Bhagavan is a being who radiates all the qualities, including giving enlightenment. God is the formless energy. Atma is the energy, formless energy reflecting on the form. Paramatma is the formless energy in its original existence and all its reflections put together. I have defined all the technical terms. As I said, there are no differences between all these terms. They are only different references. This whole Vedanta Sampradaya, the only requirement is a proper guru. Beautifully Vedanta Sampradaya describes how to catch the right guru. Peel all the things which are common. For example, if I have an organization, somebody else is also having organization. There are so many spiritual organizations. Remove that part from my glory. If I have body, then many of you also have body. Remove that part from my glory. If I have amazing orating power, many of them are having. Remove that part from my glory. So go on peeling. Finally, at some point, your logic will not be able to peel further, but still you will feel he is something more than all these things. When your logic feels, I cannot peel further, I have peeled everything, even after all these things are removed, he has something more than all these things put together. When you feel this understanding with somebody, he is your guru. If that does not happen, if you feel, no, after I peel 3-4 things, he is not worthy, then forget about him. he is not worthy of being your guru. You are not worthy of being his disciple. The guru-disciple relationship is sacred, should be started after thorough study and research and should never be ended. Should be started after thorough research and should never be ended. I tell you, ending the guru-disciple relationship in your life is a worst crime you will do to yourself, worst punishment you are imposing upon yourself, worst conspiracy against yourself. One more thing I want to tell you, change of guru is perfectly all right, nothing wrong. For example, you go to one guru, after some time you grow out of him or you get more matured, you feel connected to some other guru, that is perfect, nothing wrong. At some point if you feel you have grown out of me, please carry on with your life. If you are feeling connected to somebody, great. But dropping from the guru and not having some other guru is the crime. It means you did not drop from this earlier guru because you are advancing. You dropped because you have fallen. Somebody asks Bhagavan to Nisargadatta Maharaj, Bhagavan, you say enlightened beings do not have karma, then how are you moving your body? You cannot even move your body without having karma. Understand? You need to have some karma, only then you can even move your hand or you can talk. He is asking Bhagavan, you say enlightened beings do not have karma, but how you are talking? How you are working? He said, I am not doing anything. The disciple says, no, you are not understanding my question. How you are talking to me, even that is a work. How you are talking to me if there is no karma? Bhagavan says, I am not misunderstanding, you are misunderstanding. I am telling you, I am not talking to you. Very difficult to talk to these guys. I understand many times what my disciples go through. Nisargadatta Maharaj says, no, I am not talking. Disciple was really confused because he is talking and he is saying, I am not talking. And another one big problem, we have to believe they are talking the truth. We can't say, why are you lying? No. That is another one difficulty. Disciple was completely confused. He asked Bhagavan, please explain. You are talking and you say you are not talking. And then Maharaj says beautifully, understand, because there is a movement in you, you think there is a movement in me. You can never understand talking can happen without any movement in the inner space. That is why you think when the sound comes out of my mouth also there is same kind of a movements in my inner space. Maharaj says, in you never had a time or a moment where your body or your mouth can move without your being moving. In me, I have experienced my body or mouth or even mind, anything can move, but inside me, my inner space, nothing moves. Understand? having such a strong, clear peace inside you, even your thoughts cannot disturb. That is enlightenment. I wanted all of you to understand, do not think enlightened masters don't have thoughts. I can say the space is so big, it is negligible part. In normal mind, if you have 10-acre mind, all 10-acre is jumping like a zoo. With an enlightened being, they have 1,000,000 acre. Only 10-acre is zoo. In 1,000,000 acre, can you consider 10-acre being a zoo is something disturbing? Some movement? No. It is negligible. Practically, which is not there. It just, no more. It is not there. That is why Ramana Maharshi says, for normal persons, I am body. For enlightened being, I am also the body. It's not that the idea that I am body disappears, it just expands. I am also the body. This is also part. So I have nowhere to go. It's a very important thing. Judging the masters based on their movement, physical movement, is the worst thing can happen to a disciple. Because he will judge master's action from his idea. If he does that particular action, what logic will go through in his head? He thinks that same logic is going through in his head. Especially the people who live around few days or few years, or who claim, I know Swamiji for so many years. That's a big problem. That's a big problem. I always tell people, these people who claim, I know Swamiji for so many years. What do they know? Nothing. First of all, they don't know themselves. And they think they know me. They think with their logic, the logic with which their head functions, with the same logic my head is also functioning. If the same logic, with the same logic, if my head is also functioning, then why I am sitting here and why you are sitting there? No. There is no logic which you can understand logically with which master's system functions. There is no logic with which you can understand logically the master's system's function. But slowly, slowly, you see, same way only he walks, same way he talks, same way he eats, same way he laughs, sometimes much more than us, and almost looks same. You start thinking the inner space, inner programming is also same. That is where you miss. That is where you miss. Inner programming is not same. That is where Nisargadatta Maharaj says, I am not talking to you. He says, what you understand by the word talking is not happening in me. Just I am reflecting the movements which is happening in you. Whatever you want to see, you are seeing it in this body. Like a mirror reflecting. People come and ask me, Swamiji, many times I feel you are talking exactly to me, directly to me. It is not the public discourse. You know you are talking only to me. They ask me, how do you read? Did you read my mind? And are you answering all the questions which I am having? Did you read my mind? I tell them, first thing, I never do that job because I respect your privacy. Second thing, who want to waste time with all the nonsense which goes on in their head? Neither I am interested nor I am willing to read somebody's mind. What exactly happens, the presence of the master is so intense. Any mind which comes and sits in front of it, Just by the very presence heat, your questions are answered. That's all. Whatever questions you carry, just the answer comes out without even me logically reading and answering. Many times, I ask people to talk so that they will understand what their problem is, not for me to solve. Because the master's mind, enlightened mind, does not work with the logic with which your mind is working. If you think the enlightened master's logic work in the same way your mind is working, you miss the whole truth. You miss even the master. You will not be able to understand the truth. You will not be able to raise yourself to his level. You will bring him to your level. Living around the master, catching the master, missing the master, abusing the master. 3 different dimensions. Just this basic 2-3 truths. 1, all scriptures, all literature, all method of teachings can only inspire you, cannot give experience. Understand? It's the first law. All books, all DVDs, when I say all, capital letter ALL, including mine, books, cassettes, DVDs, everything can only create inspiration in you, but cannot give experience. Experience can be transmitted. It's like, you see, experience is like a lamp. Only from a burning lamp light you can pick up, catch. Only from a lamp you can light a lamp. Only from a lamp you can light a lamp. Same way, the Jivan Mukti is transmitted only from a living body to living body. Living body to living body. If that body has to catch Jivan Mukti, it has to catch from a same material source which is living enlightenment. Please understand, I am describing very clearly the need of the master. If that body made out of muscles and the mind made out of thoughts, if it needs to catch living enlightenment, Jivan Mukti fire, it has to catch it only from another one body which is living enlightenment of the same frequency, means like a same flesh and bones. Only from that you can catch. Be very clear, Mahavatar Baba cannot give you living enlightenment. Please understand, I am making a very strong statement, but truth. He cannot give you Jivan Mukti. He can only give you inspiration, experience, some glimpse. But if he wants to give Jivan Mukti, he has to guide you to a person who is in the physical body. In the physical body. Ramakrishna, or Ramana Maharshi, or Mahavatar Baba, or Osho, or J. Krishnamurti, anybody. They are all still in the cosmic plane. Why, you know? With whoever they committed when they are in the physical body. For example, if you are there, if you were when Ramakrishna was there, and you had directly connection with him, and he blessed you, he passed away, still you are here, then he will be there to take care of you. But no new addition is possible after the body is left. No new addition is possible. Now, Mahavatar Baba, all of you I think understand what I am saying. All of you understand what I am saying clearly? Now, if you are seeker, starting to pray to Ramakrishna, Ramana Maharshi, they can guide you to a living master. That's all. They themselves will not be able to give, because it has to be transmitted from this plane, from flesh and bone. That is why the need of living master again and again and again comes back. Understand? That is why no huge organization is able to own spirituality than a living master. Seekers are around me. The reason is, it can be transmitted only from flesh to flesh. The person who is living Jivan Mukti through his muscle memory and muscles. See, I'll be living Jivan Mukti without muscles after I leave the body. I'll be living in Jivan Mukti, that is not a problem. But because there is no muscles, I will not be able to transmit it to the person who is with muscles. If I initiate you now and give you the assurance, only then I can handle you even if I leave the body. So if you had assurance from Ramakrishna, Ramana Maharshi or Osho, somebody, when they are in the flesh, then you don't need to go to new master. It may not be needed. But even then usually they guide to a living master, because living around the master is not only living enlightenment, it's a joy. It's an ecstasy. It's a way of life. For that reason they guide. Understand thoroughly. Otherwise, if you have not had connection with them physically, when they were in the body, even they can't do anything. Mahavatar Baba will not be able to give you enlightenment or the spiritual experience. He can only guide you. That is the reason why still that living master's necessary is not replaced at all. It's not replaced. Still, the necessity for living master is there when the whole thing started by Shiva millions of years ago. The only thing which is not yet outdated, which can never be outdated, is necessity of a living master. See, the only difference between you and me is not enlightenment, because you also carry that, I also carry that. In our 7 layers, see, you are having 7 body, I have 7 body. The last 2 body, the cosmic layer and the nirvanic layer, the last 2 layers are one and the same for you and me, even now. Please understand. Even now, the cosmic layer and nirvanic layer is same for you and same for me. There is no difference in that. But this physical, these layers, these 5 layers, that is where the difference starts. So all you need is not enlightenment, but the body language of enlightenment. Please understand. I think all of you catch what I am saying. See, this first 2 layers, this nirvanic body and cosmic body. In this, in that 2 layers, you are one and the, both of us are same. Only these layers, these outside layers, like a physical, oh God, it's not right. Only these outside layers, like a physical, mental, and physical, pranic, mental, subtle, these outside layers, only there we differ. It means what? You don't need enlightenment, you need enlightened body language. You understand what I am saying? You already have enlightenment, you don't need it. See, the inside, the pure consciousness is there. You can't create that. But the walls, the layers, they all are like a, what to say, covering the original light inside. So now those layers should become like a glass house. Instead of wall, it should become glass. See, in me, so consciousness is same. I have 7 layer glasses around me. You have 7 layer walls around you, that's all. Because of that walls, that light is not radiating. Because I have a 7 layer glass, it is not only radiating, it's just shining. So all we need to do, change your walls into glass. So all you need is enlightened body language, not enlightenment itself. Understand, I am breaking one of the important part. You don't need enlightenment. You need enlightened body language. I don't know whether you are understanding the key difference, the key shift. All you need is see how an enlightened master lives and live the same way. That's all. See how an enlightened, that's why the Bhagavata says, Leela Dhyana is the ultimate than any Nirvikalpa Dhyana. If you need enlightenment, you need to unclutch and be in Nirvikalpa state. But you don't need enlightenment. You actually need an enlightened body language. Then all you need to do is not to unclutch and try to achieve that pure inner space. All you need is meditate on the person who is radiating enlightenment and do the same thing in you. Understand? Understand the importance of the Leela Dhyana. Leela Dhyana means seeing the place of a living master and constantly being soaked in it. Nirvikalpa Dhyana means continuously unclutching and settling into that silence. Now you understand the difference between the two. You can continuously unclutch and merge into that silence also, no problem. But I don't know how many years it will take and how long it will take and what all will be the side effect and time, these, that. And actually you don't need to. You don't need to. Instead, meditating on the Leelas. So naturally when you meditate on Leelas of the Master, you don't need to do anything else. Automatically that body language will start expressing in you. The NSP, I got a few letters, devotees are telling, after 2-3 days we feel like I'm talking like you, Swamiji. I feel my face is like you. When I close my eyes, and I feel you are me. And sometimes when I see your photograph, I feel it's my photograph. My photograph. How many of you had like this glimpse at least sometime? Once in a while. Raise your hand, let's see. So that whole started happening in you. Means that Leela Dhyana Dwara, that initiation of Leela Dhyana started happening in you. Understand? If this happens, then you are done. If that same feeling starts staying inside you without your effort, you are done. That's all. I think now you understand living around the Master, what it does inside you. What it does inside you. Catching the Master, missing the Master, abusing the Master. Oh God. Is catch that fire and having that strong vidarka, catching that living enlightenment fire and start living. So catching the Master. Missing the Master is unable to catch that fire, but understanding that Master is of compassion, only I am not able to catch it. He is missing the Master. Abusing the Master is no, he is not giving. Understand? The three major thing. See, catching the Master means you understand. Straight away relating, having vidarka, experiencing, catching the fire and start living it. Living enlightenment, Jivan Mukti. This is catching the Master. Missing the Master means understanding that you are responsible and you have to catch it. Trying to alter inside you is missing the Master. Abusing the Master means trying to alter the Master. Trying to correct the Master. Understand? Trying to judge him. See, first thing, if you catch the Master, that is the ultimate best. Even if you miss the Master, don't worry, you will come back again. But never ever do that abusing the Master. Gone, once for all. Understand? It's like in Cinefield, if you produce a movie and did not pay the artists, they will complain and your file will be closed. You will not be able to do any movies further. Any movie you try to do, this file will be there. No artist will come to act in your movie. Same way, if you abuse the Master once, please understand, I am not threatening you or anything. Consciously it gets recorded into your system. To anybody your file goes, they will say wait. Living with the Master is just living with a dynamite diamond. When a dynamic diamond is made to work on any stone other than the diamond part in the stone will be completely removed. See, the quality of diamond is when it is dynamic and made to work on any object, all other particles in that object except its very strength, diamond, it will all be removed. That's the way the diamonds are polished. Only the diamonds are used to polish the diamond. It's like any stone has some component of diamond in it and some component of ordinary carbon in it. When the moving dynamic diamond is made to work on that object, all other particles except the diamond component, carbon or anything, is burnt away. Same way, when you live with the master, everything other than the master component in you, everything other than the cosmos in you, everything other than the enlightenment in you is burnt away. This is the greatest fortunate thing and unfortunate thing. If you identify yourself with enlightenment, the highest reality, this is the most fortunate thing. You don't need to do anything, just be around, hang around, that's all. Enlightenment simply happens. But if you identify yourself with the perishing components, the carbon component or the non-diamond component, this is the most torturous suffering. Very beautifully, George Gurdjieff, one of the greatest revolutionary master of modern days, he says, only if you associate yourself with me, be around me. If you think you are separate, I am separate, then this is not the place for you. Because constantly you will feel threatened by me. If you are blissful around the master, be very clear, you are enlightened. That's a very beautiful Nityananda Zen koan written by Bhaktananda. No. Every day when he was in prison with me, he will write something and show me. If you are living with the master and still he is not driving you crazy, up in the wall, either he is not enlightened. There is a very beautiful koan, he put it in a very nice way, or you are not living with him. As long as you think you are a separate entity other than your higher reality, he will be driving you crazy. Constantly shaking the very roots on which you build your foundation. But fortunately, if you identify with him, with your higher reality, this is the most fortunate thing can happen in the planet Earth, because without any effort, the ultimate will just happen in you. The ultimate will just happen in you without any effort. Nothing needs to be done, just hanging around. But you will see, His simple movements, his simple words, his just look will be shaking the very foundation on which you are building you, or the false you. Anything you do, he will be constantly on his job. How he will create situations, how he will create people, how he will create happenings around you, you do not know. You can't imagine. Just the person who is walking next to you will exactly hit you where you are holding you. Don't think he is hitting you. I am hitting you. When you are around the master, please understand, when you live around the master, including a mosquito bites you, after taking permission from him about the time, the intensity of the bite, and the place where you are needed to be bitten. I am very clearly telling you, please understand. If you are inside his Sangha, you are under a controlled condition where your ego is constantly operated. Whatever is not you but you hold on to it as you is removed from you. I can say, living around the master without resisting is living enlightenment process. The definition of living enlightenment process. All you need is whatever you think as your intellect, your efficiency, your energy, just cooperate with that, that's all. If he asks you to sit and unclench, how much you can, just do that, nothing more. See, if you fall into unconscious, means if your mind drifts away somewhere, or if you fall asleep, it's not under your control. Then don't worry about it, don't have guilt. But as long as you are aware, as long as you have backbone to sit, as long as you have awareness to unclench, do it, that's all. Nothing more. If he asks you to chant the Mahamantra, as long as your energy is there in the throat, as long as you can hum, do it, that's all. Nothing more. See, when you feel you can't do anymore, just your body falls, either falling asleep or your mind has drifted away somewhere, then nothing can be done. It's not under your control. So you are not asked to do things which is beyond your control. No. Just do things which are under your control. That's enough. Beyond your control is not under your control, it is under his control. Whether it is handling your anger, handling your hunger, handling your fear, handling your greed, or handling your life, anything, as much as you can, with the clear intention of as much as you can. That's all. Nothing else. Nothing more. As long as you identify yourself with the higher reality, living around the master is the ultimate celebration and liberation. But when you identify yourself with the lower realities, other than the master, the big problem is the intellect starts developing a very logical principles to go against the master. How to find out whether I am with the right guru or wrong guru? A right guru will go on pushing you continuously to move forward. Will never give you the feeling you are done. I tell you, the real peace is the explosion of the mind which asks for peace into peace, peace. The real peace is the explosion of the mind which asks for peace into peace. Now that is where the real peace happens. Understand? What you think as real peace is the tamasic tiredness, chronic fatigue. That is why when life comes in front of you, you just jump into some cave. Wanted to have a cozy cave. No. Even your cave is inside my Himalayas. Understand? Even if you catch a cave, you do not understand, I am the walls of the cave. A real master will go on be pushing you. As I said, the samadhi happens to a person whose non-mechanical parts of the brain is alive, awakened. The mind which asks you for vacation, for rest, for peace, for tiredness, has to be blown away. It should explode to peace, peace, peace. Only then peace happens. A real master will go on be pushing you, will not encourage that fatigue, tiredness. He will never run a resort. He will run only a commune. Maybe after his death, his disciples will change the name into resort. He himself will never run a resort. Person who asks for the peace of the resort out of fatigue, tiredness, wanted rest, will never be allowed in the presence of a living master. The mind which asks once in a while, I think I need rest. I think I need a break. Yes, you need. Not from the situation. You need break in the root. You need to be broken. The mind which asks for the break need to be broken. That is the break it needs. A real master is a person goes on pushing you. Ability to receive the suffering as prasadam, poison as nectar. What you think as poison, not the real poison. What you think as poison, the ability to receive what you think as poison and stand with it is what I call tapas. To surrender to a living master fully is almost impossible for me. What is the best way to attain enlightenment for a seeker who cannot surrender completely? It's a wonderful question. It's like you are asking, achieving enlightenment is almost impossible for me. What is the way you give for me to achieve enlightenment? Actually, there are some possibilities. You can surrender to a deity. You can surrender to the master who left the body. Understand? Masters who left the body don't think they are dead as you think. The dead masters are not dead as you think. Living masters are not alive as you think. Dead masters are not dead as you think. They are still available. Their presence does not have body. You can still connect with them. The only problem is, takes a lot of time. Takes a lot of time. I always tell people, directly sitting in front of you, clearly in English I am making statement which you can understand. With this itself you are not able to catch the thread and catch the message.
Somebody is sitting somewhere in some consciousness, some space. How do you think you are going to connect with him telepathically? And even if you get some message, how are you going to find out how much is your mixture and how much is from him? And how are you going to classify? How are you going to understand? And you think even if you start following, getting some message, you will have the courage to complete it? In between, if there is some problem, what do you will think? Who knows, maybe my own imagination. Who knows from where message came? My own imagination. This kind of difficulties, that is the reason we always say the living master is a lot more easy. Forget about forget about the dead masters. Even with the living master, in few days, you will, if you try to remember my words, it will not be exactly as I uttered. It will be as you wanted. So even with the living master, again and again, you need to correct your notes. You need to update your notes. You need to clear your notes. You need to update your understanding. Even with the living master, it becomes such a big task. So what? With the masters who left the body, it becomes too difficult. Of course, that is at least second choice. Living master is the first choice. The second choice is masters who left the body, trying to connect with them. And the third choice, some deity whom you don't even know whether they existed or not. That is the third choice. Of course, last choice, try to connect or surrender to anything, even to a hell or a river or ocean or a small stone. The very surrender will raise you to the deeper and higher frequencies. When you say Nama, let the I and mind be relaxed. Let the I and mind be surrendered. That itself will raise you to the higher states of consciousness, higher frequencies. But whatever is said and done, it will all take its own time, and only second or third choices. With living masters, straight away he will work. I have always seen the karma which they will exhaust or the clarity which they will get after years suddenly happens. The whole being opens up just in 1 or 2 days of working with the master. Even 1 or 2 days, so many things will open up, so many things will be cleaned, so much of purification will start happening. That's the reason so much of emphasis on the living master in the Vedic tradition.
When you enter into me, you disappear into something beyond you. That's what we call black hole. Black hole means all these planets, everything disappearing into something which is beyond your comprehension, beyond your understanding. So when you disappear into something which is beyond your comprehension, that is black hole. I made another one statement. When I enter into you, it is Big Bang. Means, what is Big Bang? Whatever you see appearing from something which you can't understand is Big Bang. Understand? When I enter into you, it is Jivan Mukti, living enlightenment. When you enter into me, it is Videha Mukti, enlightenment beyond body. So Big Bang means what? Initiation. I am me entering into you, you experiencing new you. At some day, suddenly you will feel even the trace of your old identity is not there in you. questions I'll answer. Does every guru go through religious persecution? First thing I want you to know. Do not go to a guru who has not gone through religious persecution. I tell you, any guru who is an authentic enlightened master will have a unique integrity and strength which cannot be tolerated by collective negativity of an ignorance and the collective unconsciousness. They will try to persecute him. See, an unconscious man who possesses even 10 rupee he has, who is greedy of money, cannot even understand, I am not attached to this gold Rudraksha or this golden throne. He cannot understand. See, when a man comes out and does so much good, the collective negativity cannot tolerate. It will persecute. Understand? If somebody is not persecuted, he has compromised with enlightenment. He doesn't have that integrity, that strength. So I tell you, don't go to a guru who is not persecuted. Persecution is being persecuted is one of the basic scale to find out whether somebody is a real guru or not. That's the truth. That is the truth. Gurus go through religious persecution because of the honest, truthful contribution they give it to the world.
I can only give this one scale, maybe this can guide you. That technique or that person, after you come in contact with that person, initial introduction or initial exposure, does it add intelligence, awareness and bliss to you? If these three quality, even one quality increases in you, go behind that person. Surely you will be helped. Or in these three, if you are not growing in these three, forget about him. Even if he brings fortune and wealth in your life, it will only be danger for you.
Please understand, I am your father, mother, friend, beloved, and something more. I am father and mother of your possibility. I am father and mother of what will happen out of you. I am friend and beloved of your possibility. Please understand, I am not father and mother of you. I am father and mother of your possibility. I cannot reject your love. It is so beautiful, even though mixed with a lot of ignorance and innocence. When a cub brings grass to the lion, lion cannot eat the grass. It will be laughing inside, but it cannot reject the grass because it is mixed with the possibility of you. I am your father and mother. I cannot reject your love. Same way, I cannot accept it. If I accept your love, you will accept you as you are now, which is not the right thing. You will not look up and grow into your possibility. Understand? So I need to accept your love, but I need to constantly remind you, you need to become your possibility. I am beloved of your possibility, not you. Whenever you expand towards your possibility, you will always see me just taking you to my heart as a mother, father, friend, beloved, and more. Whenever you try to shrink me to your level, see, first of all, there is no you and me. Once you become Ashramite, there is only one thing. The relationship between you and me lives through you. If the relationship is flowering, you are joyful. If that relationship is shrinking, you are in pain. I tell you, there is no you actually. Of course, long before there is no me. I have disappeared. The moment you become ashramite, you are also disappearing. So there is no you and me. Then what is living in you? The relationship between you and me is only living in you. If the relationship is flowering, you are happy. If it is not flowering, you are suffering. But there is no separate you. Whenever you raise to the level of your possibility, the relationship becomes very sweet and beautiful. Whenever you go down, shrink from your possibility, the relationship becomes bitter. Understand that bitterness goes to your core. Whether my love or my anger goes to your core. A smile or staring goes to your core. My smile can make your very being flower, your root flower. When I stare, your very gut will shiver. Try your best to avoid, what is there? It's okay, it is usual. My staring will never be usual. My love will never be usual. It is alive, living. You might have had 10,000 hugs, but 10,001 hug will be new and fresh and alive. I might have stared at you 1 lakh times, but 1,00,001 staring will be fresh, alive and shivering, frightening. Understand, I have to do a job of neither rejecting you nor accepting you. Human being cannot do this job. Either he falls in love or hates. That's all. Here, I have to completely keep you in my heart and just cutting and doing the surgery. Removing the cancer. Removing the tumor. I cannot reject your love and I cannot accept it. Hot love always turns into anger. Your love is too hot. The hot feeling of security always turns as a deep insecurity. Means the hot fear. If I have all this, only then it is security. Security with legs always will become handicapped. Love which is hot will always become hatred. Love should have tremendous coolness like Ganga flowing. In some Puranas they say Ganga is one more wife of Shiva. No. Shiva made Sati into Ganga and keeping it. Sati is too hot. Dakshayani is too hot. He makes her like Ganga. Then you can always be Ardhangini, part of Shiva. Whether you are in a male body or female body, understand, once you are ashramite, nothing else lives in you except the relationship between me and you. When that is flowering, you are flowering. When that is shrinking, you are shrinking. That's it. Because you don't have any other source. Not only you don't have any other source to enlighten you or entrain you. In the ashram, you don't even have any other source to entertain you.
Welcome to Inner Awakening, the most powerful personal transformation retreat you could ever experience. In just 21 days, thousands are already experiencing the shortest route to constantly high energy levels, visible anti-aging, healing of chronic diseases, fulfilling relationships, and higher states of consciousness. What is the secret behind this transformation?
Kundalini means the inner potential energy. Once it is awakened, opens the different doors for the conscious experience in you. I can say which is a master key for all extraordinary spiritual experiences.
This extraordinary program is conducted personally by Paramahamsa Nityananda in the vibrant atmosphere of Nityananda Dhyanapitham Ashram. Open yourself to the benefits of Nitya Yoga and practical meditation. Experience physical and mental healing. Discover simple ways to handle life with success. Above all, enjoy individual darshan and blessings from Paramahamsa Nityananda every day. Take 21 days for yourself and carry home the transformation of a lifetime.